With Klaas, I knew it right from the birth. Right from the moment he came out, there was something wrong. In the beginning, you try to tell, no, maybe it's not true because you're hoping to have a healthy child. But deep inside, I knew he had it.
The whole point of school is prepare you for the future, to go finish high school, have a job, start a family, retire. If you know already at an age of 4 that you're probably gonna die before everybody from your class, it's hard to motivate yourself and focus. Headache. In my mind, I always said, like, I have to get everything out of life because I will not get older than 25. The doctors never said I was gonna die when I was a kid, you know, like they said there is a chance. There is a lot of people at my age that I grew up with cystic fibrosis that aren't here anymore. So those things really happen.
Cystic fibrosis is a genetic disease that causes a lot of problems, especially in the lungs and also in the gastrointestinal tract.
Take a few deep breaths.
It results in phlegms that block the airways, that cause difficulties in breathing, that prevents you from doing exercises, and also that damages the airways as a result of repeated infection.
He was quite angry that he had the disease. He wanted to be like all the others.
If you always think that next year you can be gone, then you live totally other ways than if you think I will live 50 years more. We knew already from Jolien what struggle it was, and we knew that he was going to have the same struggle.
It's really confronting to see your own sister with the stuff that you have yourself. I saw the hard time she had, and when I saw that, I was like, this is me in 2 years. I had a way of looking into the future with her. In one way, you look at it and you don't want to see it, so you kind of want to ignore it. But the older I got, the more I realized if you ignore it, it doesn't go away. Every day I have to do my therapy. It's like a full-time job. The lungs kind of clog up with mucus, and you have to try to get it out with my aerosol nebulizer, and then to do breathing exercise to get the mucus out. You try to find time for therapy every free moment you have in the day. In the beginning, I had quite some troubles to live a healthy life because I didn't see a future for myself. When I was 18, I started climbing, and that was actually the first time that I had something I felt happy with. It was not a long-term process of studying for 4 or 5 years. It was something I could do right now. If I wanted to enjoy this sport that gave me the best feeling, I had to start working more and more on my health, take my therapy better, do my breathing exercise better.
Nice.
Nice, Klaas.
I'm very proud of him. I'm happy that he found something that really is his thing. They go climbing every day. I say, you never get tired of going climbing, no?
If he doesn't climb, I honestly believe he's gonna die.
With cystic fibrosis, it was like you cannot go outside when it's cold because you can get pneumonia. You cannot go to a foreign country because if you get sick, maybe they don't know how to help you in hospital. You cannot go in high altitude because you cannot breathe well. We in Belgium have a good healthcare system, but you're like at home in a golden cage. As soon as I realized I can do this, I was like, maybe I can do a multi-pitch. And then I went to Yosemite, it's like, hey, I climbed Half Dome. I never thought it was possible. And then I climbed El Cap. And I was like, I can climb El Cap. And a bit later, like, let's see what else is possible. I can climb El Cap in a day. Amazing. If I didn't test all these things, I would never know. I had a reason that I didn't have the whole of my life. Like, I had a reason to stay alive. And that was, I loved climbing too much to not be able to do this.
I don't want to live forever!
When he was 25, he said, normally I would be dead now, but he was still living.
After that birthday, I was for a week kind of depressed, not knowing what to do, because I was like, I'm 25, I'm not dead. You know, I'm still alive. That's like, what now?
Without developing an area, there's just basically no climbing, right? And yeah, he was here from the beginning.
You know, when you bolt, you have like this thing of like, yeah, but that is good, but you're hanging on a rope. And then when you're trying it, you're like, it's overhanging, it's a roof. It's not as good as I thought. No, there you go. Like that. Maybe I'll just jump to it. I've bolted lines before, but it was always in a developed area, like in Turkey. I came to Sardinia, to Ulassai, with some friends that told me he knew a place here in Sardinia that is like a lot of undeveloped rock. I couldn't believe my eyes the first time I came here. So we started bolting. Clear below, I'm knocking off a loose stone.
Man is a drilling machine. It's like, if you want to bolt the line, you better like wake up really fucking early, because otherwise class has bolted it.
Some of the most beautiful lines here are bolted by him. He's got an entire crag he just bolts by himself, like in a few days.
You spend time to clean lines, to bolt them, to figure them out, and it's really nice that you see that other people then come and enjoy the work you put into it. You give something back to the climbing community that already gave so much back to me, because the climbing already saved my life so many times. It's gonna be fun to climb there again.
Can you describe Klaas as a person in a few words?
I can't put it into a few words. He's complicated.
Strong-willed, real strong-willed, and slightly annoying.
Stop, no, wait, stop. The camera.
I know he's a great climber, but for me, it's just a neighbor who doesn't need an invitation to come around for a coffee or for lunch.
Probably the air, probably the people around here, I think is the place to be for him. He can express himself to climbing, bolting a lot.
This village for me is something very special. The people live in nature, they're not in a city. The air is so much better than in Belgium, very good for my lungs. The rock is amazing in this place, the nature is amazing, but the people in here are just one of a kind. Every person on the street says like hello to you with a big smile. They ask you questions like, how is this place compared to those other places? I'm telling them very honestly, because this is really the nicest sport climbing place that I've ever been. And if I tell them that, you see them radiating with joy.
I mean, everybody knows Klaas. He's a big part of the success of this place.
Never had to do any promotion. We've just sent Klaas on a climbing trip and he brings the people.
When I saw the wall, I couldn't believe that some of those lines weren't bolted yet. The first 2 weeks when we were bolting, I started to bolt this one line. The line is in the canyon. It's the biggest sector in Lasai, and it's just above the village. The rock on it, I really like. It's limestone, but there is a bit of sand in it, so you have this really nice friction. And the crimps are a bit rounded, so it's not hurting too much on the skin. The first time I tried it, instantly I knew it was the hardest thing I've ever tried, but it felt possible.
All the lines he bolts, there's always a little story to them. The name that he puts to them, there's something more than just the climb, like describing what the climb is. And it's super nice for anyone else to climb it because they've become part of this story.
As soon as you give it a name and a story, the line changes. I finished to bolt this line, and when I was back on the ground, yeah, I had the name for it, and it was Still Alive. That summer, I went to the mountains with my father. I did an epic adventure on La Mèche.
It became one of the stories of my life because we succeeded in doing it together.
I was already a bit feeling sick, but I feel sick all the time, so you kind of get used to it. My heart was beating so loud I couldn't fall asleep from it, and I thought it was from the altitude.
And their glycogen status with this corn beer. It's very high.
The reason why I was feeling my heartbeat so strong was because my heart didn't have room to beat. There was a tumor the size of my heart next to my heart. When I was 15, I had cancer, Hodgkin. First time, my body was still young and I could handle it. The second time, it was way worse.
Cystic fibrosis already increases the chance of having lung infections, but having to have chemotherapy further increases that risk. I was very much afraid that the treatment for his cancer could have resulted in a more severe lung disease and more damage in the lungs.
We were at the hospital, and me and Frankie, we saw him, and I was like, what? He had like these super skinny legs, you know? I was like, okay, fuck, Klaas is like, he's like fucking sick now.
Klaas is a person as well that doesn't let you feel the heavy of cystic fibrosis, of cancer. You see him as a strong climber, as a strong person. Only when he's stuck in the hospital, then you are like, he's human. Because when you see him on the rock, he's not human.
I focused a lot with the end date, and I had this in mind, like, then the cancer will be finished and I start climbing again. I went to climb in Turkey, and the first day I fell in a 5C, and the last day of that month I could climb in 8A. But then I came home, we did hospital tests, and my lungs didn't get any better. That was the point that I thought, like, okay, I can never get to the same level anymore.
He had a portacat, so that is something you put inside your body to make it easy to give an injection directly in the blood. After his cancer, he said, I don't want it anymore. And the doctor said to him, but it's good that you have it. You can use it for your cystic fibrosis also. No, it has to go. And when Klaus said it has to go, no way that it stays. It was maybe 1 year after this, and I heard him say that he had to take it out because he was afraid that he would put oxygen in it to finish his life. That was the reason why he wanted to take it out. Because in his head he was thinking, it's so easy to kill myself, then maybe one day I will do it.
It took me a long time to realize that maybe I should just enjoy the time that I still had. Don't look too much in the future. I was at a point that the doctor said, it will go downhill from now, you just have to accept that. And I kind of accepted it and said to myself, like, okay, let's just see if I can still enjoy the life that I have now. I should try. The root still alive is the thing that kept me going. From that moment, I kind of did everything in my life just in order to get better and get stronger, to try and send this line. Even though the doctor said I could never get to the same level as before, there is this fun thing to try and do things in life that other people think you cannot do, to prove them wrong. Maybe I'm immortal. The line is not that long, but every move packs a punch.
Already the first moves, it kind of separates the good climber from the less good climber, let's say. It's like already there you have to really bring it.
It actually starts with the 7B plus 7C boulder, and then the meat of the route starts. I really like the next moves from there. I always call it a bit like you're hugging a fridge.
There's like a lot of this compression moves, like throwing, clipping is difficult.
Your hands just want to go open. That's the battle, to just keep on crimping. Every move is kind of okay, but the hard move, you put high feet and do a very long move to a good crimp, but it's like far away. I think I fell like 10 times or something in that move. I thought as well, like, if I ever have that crimp, I'm gonna send it. This process, it wasn't going all the time very well. For 3 years, I was trying it and doing everything to see if it was possible.
You forget like the reality he lives.
There was this mental clock ticking. I had to climb it before I got sick again and had to spend another 2 weeks in hospital because after those 2 weeks, I had to start the process all over again.
Kind of started playing a bit in his head.
With cystic fibrosis, they always said we couldn't go to the mountains, we couldn't do sports. But if you sit in the sofa, do nothing, you will not be able to do sport. If you do something, your body adapts and it can do more. So that is a process that I want to show that is possible.
It was okay too?
Yeah, timing-wise, I didn't have a problem.
It's not just for climbing itself, it's just for life he's doing this.
That's right.
Yes. Now maybe I won't cry.
It was hard for him to see that his sister was not taking care of her body the way he would have done.
She learned a lot from me with the sport, but she was already at that far stage that she couldn't do much sport anymore. But I also have still stuff to learn.
Hey, dag iedereen. Een leuke middag bij de paarden. Het was wel vermoeiend, maar ik heb er echt wel van genoten.
There was this moment that her kidney stopped working because all the medication that we get really destroys the whole body. The doctors told her that she could have a couple more days to live, but that she would die probably this week. And she said, no, it's not true. My kidneys will work again. 2 weeks later, her kidneys worked again. She just was so positive to believe that she could get better that she just made her body to believe it as well. She has also said that she was happy with her life.
Als ik erin blijf, zal ik het zo maar zeggen. Zo erg. Dat is niet erg, hè. Het is maar dat iedereen dat weet, zonder stoos aan op te geven.
We all knew that the moment would arrive, that the fight would get lost.
Ja, het kan zo mooi zijn. Ja, dat was het.
During that I was trying still alive, she passed away. Your own sister dying of this disease, you have yourself. It's really hard to live with this. This line became not just a stupid piece of rock, but it became a whole story for me. Now I live for two. So I climb for two, and I will prove that you can beat cystic fibrosis.
I think the richest people in the world are the people who can live with nothing. In this way, Klaus is also very rich. And he lives from the nature and from friendship and love.
I've never climbed a line that so many people were like wanting me to climb. All the locals were almost picnicking below the line because everybody wanted to be there with me.
Do something funny now, come on.
It wasn't just a solo project, it was a whole group project.
I was climbing further down in the canyon and we just heard this like loud scream and we just looked at each other like, oh my God, I think he's done it.
I gave him a hug. I was like, oh man, that's good. Thank God that happened. It was like the first 8C for the area, which was also pretty cool. It was an important line for him, for us.
That was not a scent for myself. This was a scent for my cystic fibrosis, my sister fighting the cancer, and giving some motivation to the others.
Some of our patients who are very sick, seeing what some patients like Klaus have been able to do is a comfort for them, that at the end of their very hard struggle, there may be a life ahead and a chance for a future.
I think some people try it because they hear the cool story about it, and then they realize it's actually a really cool line.
Other people can give their own story, and you can do that with any line, you can do that with any grade. And the only thing you have to remember is that it's the process that's important. I'm not gonna get bored with climbing. I still have a lot of lines here to bolt and to climb. Now is actually the first time I can look to the future, that I can maybe look further ahead than a couple of years and not have this thing of, I should send it soon because maybe next winter I get more sick and I cannot climb that level anymore. Now I can enjoy the process a lot more. And yeah, we never know where it stops. I mean, you shouldn't have too crazy goals, but climbing 9A sounds pretty cool.
Talk about her like you know her. She's not telling me to be strong.